Okay, next up we have Findi. Findi trading under the ASX code FND with a market capitalization of approximately 212 million, provides bespoke payment services for one of the world's largest developing markets while being part of the digital banking revolution, where we have banking without banks, payments without cards, and customers able to transact in a fast and flexible way from any location. Presenting today is Nicholas Smedley, the non-executive chairman. Nicholas, welcome, and please take it away.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here this morning. If we can go into the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Well, as many of you may have realised, we've just recently put our 24 financial results out. We were very happy with the results that we've delivered this year. Our revenue for the year, 66.5, substantially in line with guidance of 67 million. EBITDA of 27.4, which was above guidance of 24 million dollars, and NPAT of 4 million dollars, in line with guidance. As mentioned, we're now one of India's largest non-bank ATM operators, both across physical and digital transaction ecosystems. And we're continuing to process more than 1.2 billion transactions annually. And we have more than 2.7 million people a day using our products and services. And we're in one of the largest developing markets, India. Next slide, please. So Findi has two key areas that we operate in. We have our ATM Solutions division, with approximately 20-odd thousand ATMs that we own or manage. And I'll just delineate there, of those 20-odd thousand ATMs, we own 8,000. And then we manage third-party, a further 14,000-odd ATMs for BTI, one of India's largest white label operator, who doesn't operate their own ATMs. They entrust us to operate them on their behalf. But the lion's share of our revenue comes from our 8,000 owned ATMs on that side of the division. More than 90% of revenue comes from those owned machines. Then on the other side, we have Findi Pay, which is our fast-growing fintech payments business and what we call digital merchant network across India. On the presentation here, you'll see that we've got more than 28,000 of those across India. In June alone, we've actually added almost 3,000 additional locations, bringing us to in excess of 30,000 digital merchant locations across India. And they do 7 key products and services at the moment, which is bill payments, mobile phone recharge, funds transfer, domestic rail and plane and bus tickets. And then we do what we call assisted e-commerce and last mile cash. And that assisted e-commerce is where we help an individual do a online transaction by taking a cash payment from them, loading a digital wallet on our platform, and then completing that online transaction on their behalf with the goods delivered to that location. India, as a market opportunity, as I've mentioned, is the largest population in the world, currently in excess of 1.4 billion. But the opportunity for us out of that is there's 350 million people that are unbanked in India at the moment. And that's a great opportunity to bring them into the digital and payments ecosystem via both our ATM and our Findi Pay networks. You need to go one step above that as well. There's actually 450 million people in India that have a bank account, but haven't utilized it in the last 6 months from RBI statistics. So we really see our key opportunity is to drive financial inclusion for these 800-odd million people across India, in excess of the people that are already using our product. India as a market has growth on both sides, both in cash and also in digital. So cash as a percentage of GDP is currently 14% in terms of a payment mechanism, and that is up from some 6% 4 years prior. Cash or currency in circulation is growing at 16% compound annual growth rate. In the month of January alone, more than 5% cash in circulation increased. So still growing very rapidly. But digital is also growing well, and that's why both our ATM Solutions and our Findi Pay business units are earmarked for fantastic growth over the coming years. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Key investment themes across the company. As I've mentioned, we have a robust market opportunity. We have diversified operations across both digital and physical ATM assets across India. We have a clear, defined growth strategy. We've just been awarded in April of this year our white label license, which we are expecting to deploy our first ATMs in the second half of this financial year from October onwards for us. We have significant pipeline of opportunities. We have both inorganic and organic opportunities on the ATM and also digital merchant side of the business, which is fantastic for us. We're expecting organically to deploy another 4,000 ATMs during FY25. And I've already mentioned to the market many times that we have many acquisitions that are very well advanced. And I'm in India at the moment looking to finalise some of those as we speak. We have scale and leading position. We're in every state and territory across India, so we are pan-India, which is absolutely fantastic. As said, we have an expanding customer base with the 350 million unbanked, and then that further 450 million people that have a bank account but haven't used it in the last 6 months. We have a fantastic management team on the ground in India, and we're continuing to add experienced C-suite hires to build out that team, supporting both Monish and Deepak, our CEO and CFO on the ground in India. And we also have a great re-rate opportunity. Our trading multiples of our Indian peers are significantly higher from where we're trading at the moment. And even our ASX listed fintech peers are trading north of where we are at the moment. So significant upside just on a peer-to-peer analysis. Next slide, please. As I've mentioned, we were able to receive, in terms of key milestones, white label approval in April of this year. We also last year secured in October a new 10-year contract with SBI, which is fantastic. We've also delivered $37 million investment from Pyramid, which is a pre-IPO fund in India. If that transaction was to be done on the numbers that I've just delivered for FY24, that would value the company in excess of $270 million. As you can see from the chart here as well, there is still a significant re-rate just on comparable multiple analysis, let alone the growth we have ahead of us in the market that we operate with, which is significantly higher than most of our peers as listed Australian peers. Next slide, please. So just to harp on for key milestones, as said, we secured the new SBI agreement, which is a 10-year 7+3 agreement. That for us will be kicking off from October of this year. That's 620 million in revenues over 10 years and 280 million in EBITDA. We've raised total capital of 48.3 million. As it stands at the moment, 31 March, the group has in excess of $106 million of cash on balance sheet. So very well funded. I mentioned that we are well advanced on potential acquisitions. They are fully funded, as well as the complete CapEx rollout of that new SBI agreement from internal funds. So a great position for us to be in. The white label license that was awarded, when we start deploying ATMs under white label at the second half of this year on a full 12-month basis, will add organic incremental revenue for us of $25 million plus and EBITDA of $7 to $9 million as we go through. Next slide, please. Now, I'll just quickly talk about the opportunity of FindiPay and what we're looking to do here. So we're looking at these sites to become full-service finance hubs. So as I mentioned at the moment, these locations have 7 core products, which I've gone through, but we're wanting to expand these even further and make these the finance hub in the local community where these locations are. And we're looking to do that by expanding our relationship with our existing banks that we do ATM services for. And what does that mean? That means we're looking to become a business correspondent partner for some of these banks. And what that will mean is our FindiPay merchant locations will be able to turn into effectively bank branches, where just like banks outsource ATMs, we manage it on their behalf. We'll be able to partner with them to manage their banking branch network on their behalf. And what that does for us, and the opportunity that we are so excited about, is that adds in excess of 35 odd products and services that we can sell through our now growing 30,000 Findi Pay merchant network. I look forward to updating the market further on those as we expand those relationships, and as we can deliver that, it'll be quite exciting. And I look forward to updating. Next slide, please. As I've said, very happy with the financial results. I've spoken about revenue, EBITDA, and PAT. The one thing, operational cash flows are also very strong, where we outperformed our guidance by about 30%. Next slide, please. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Last slide. Next slide, please. And just quickly, I'll leave you on this. One of the objectives that we're looking at doing is unlocking value via liquidity, via potential IPO in the second half of calendar year 2026. And that on most recent delivered financials would imply a market valuation of 500 to 800 million, but we obviously have significant growth to deliver between now and 2026. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Nicholas. Lots of questions. Before we get into questions, I find it staggering, those figures you quoted. 350 million, you said, people that are unbanked in India, and 450 million have not utilised in 6 months? That's a massive opportunity, surely.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So a couple of questions here. First one, how do you intend on achieving the deployment of approximately 4,000 ATMs during FY25?
We're redeploying our ATMs that we currently have with the SBI, which is 3,912. We'll be repurposing those in new locations under white label, which will start roll out from October. And we had our CBI contract, which was 2,550 ATMs. The team were ready to deploy those within 6 months, and we're expecting to do the same with our white label. The benefit is we don't need bank approval for those deployments. It's purely on us, so it's our own timetable.
Got you. And the question here, is Findi Pay currently profitable, and what is Findi Pay's take rate?
Findi Pay for us at the moment is close to break even, but it is an investment phase. We're targeting to have that business grow to in excess of 60,000 merchants by the end of this year. And for us, we're targeting a profitability standpoint of 100,000 merchants for that to wash its face. But it's an investment phase, but growing exceptionally well.
And a question here, will Bitcoin digital currency have an impact?
We don't see Bitcoin or digital currency having any impact on our businesses at the moment. We are very well positioned to take advantage if we believe that position will change. One of our non-executive directors, Jason Titman, is actually CEO of SwiftX, Australia's largest crypto exchange, and one of the better operators in Australia. So if there is an opportunity, we're well placed to take advantage of that.
And you mentioned you've got a very strong balance sheet and are well funded. Can you give us some guidance on what you intend to do with these funds?
Yeah, so those funds are there to fully deploy our SBI contract, the entire CapEx requirement for that, which is fully funded. And then, as I've told the market, we're well advanced in a number of acquisitions in both the white label and brown label side of the ATM sector. We're also starting to look at acquisitions on the digital side. But the first two of those that we're looking to deliver on are also fully funded with that capital.
Gotcha. And a question here, will Findi at some point in the future come out of the ASX only to be exclusively traded on the Indian stock market?
That is an eventuality that could potentially happen. As it stands at the moment, the plan is to be dual listed between the two. But if our main market opportunity continues to be India and our shareholder base shifts towards India, then we can't talk what might happen in the future. But at the moment, the plan is to be dual listed.
Gotcha. And a question here, are the effective bank branches you intend to set up also likely to involve partnerships with SBI and or CBI?
We'll be looking to partner with, as I said, our existing banking relations we have through the ATM side. I don't want to preempt anything that hasn't been announced to the market yet. All I can say is that we are actively pursuing a banking correspondent partnership with many of the partners that we deal with.
But another one here. When are we expecting to get an update on the white label license?
As I just said in this presentation, we're expecting to deploy ATMs in the second half of this financial year for us, which is from 1 October, under our white label license.
Nicholas, thank you for your time today, and you have a great weekend. And we will be watching Findi very closely over the coming months.
Lovely. Thank you so much.